I think gaming tokens are incredibly hard to make work. It's really, really tough to make a sustainable ecosystem.
If I'm looking to get into NFTs, do you think now is a good time, and how should I go about educating myself? What's your thoughts on that?
I'd say now is an okay time. I would say 6 weeks ago was a good time. You want to be buying when no one's paying attention, and that was 6 weeks ago. Now people are talking about it, so it's like it might still be a good time if this rally continues, but I generally advise waiting till...
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Tapping Into Crypto. Today we're joined by a very special guest, Mr. Zeneca. Zeneca, how you doing, mate?
Doing great. Great to be here.
Awesome. So for anyone that doesn't know, Zeneca runs the Zen Academy and is a very prominent figure in the NFT space. So we're going to talk all things NFTs today. But also joined with me today is the great Pavrik the Maverick.
Okay, sure. Let's do that.
Welcome, Pav. Let's get kicked off. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in NFTs?
My background pre-crypto was I was a professional poker player for about 15 years. I went basically straight from high school to that. I did the university thing, but dropped out and kept trying to go back and kept dropping out. So it didn't stick. Doesn't work for me. And then there's a lot of overlap between poker and crypto. Like it's just dealing with risk, money, and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of my poker playing friends were getting into crypto over the years. Eventually in 2017, I jumped in and with some friends and got into Ethereum and all that, but not properly. It was very much just like a degen, just I'll just speculate, get a tip from a friend and buy it. Oh, a number went up. I didn't know why. I'll sell some. Oh, it all went down to zero. It's whatever. Yeah. And then, so that bear market, I kind of left and got out of the space. And then in 2021, when NFTs were taking off and everything was booming, I had similar friends again tell me about NFTs and whether I wanted to get in. And at first I thought it was a scam, but then eventually I came around and was like, all right, there's something here. And that's kind of when I jumped in and got all in. And the last few years have just been a roller coaster.
Mate, awesome. And we met you the other night when you were here for the Upside Down event hosted at the Swyftx offices. We got to know a little bit about you then. You mentioned that you recently moved back from Dubai, having spent a couple of years there, and now you're back in Brizzy, where I found out we went to the same school.
Yeah, that was crazy.
A few years apart. So, but Brisbane's such a small world.
Yeah.
So how's the transition been from Dubai, and how was that, and then moving back to Brisbane?
Yeah, so we were actually overseas for 5 years. We went to Germany first in 2019, and then after that moved to Dubai, and then from there came home. And it was wonderful being overseas, adventure, live elsewhere. I didn't know where the road was going to take us, but eventually we decided we wanted to come back to Australia. It's just it's ultimately where we feel like home is. Yep. Although we didn't know that when we left. And the transition has been great and awful at the same time. Great in the sense that it's home, it's an amazing country, friends are here, families here, food, coffee, lifestyle, it's all great.
Yeah.
The awful part is tax and figuring out and just regulation, just all that kind of stuff that wasn't as important over in Dubai, especially.
Yeah.
And getting that all sorted, because I knew that coming back to Australia and becoming Australian tax residents again, we needed to make sure that everything was legit and taken care of from day one. Otherwise, it would be a nightmare. Yeah. And so have just spent the last 6 months really working with a tax lawyer, an accountant, tax people, and just getting a lot of help into because I have 150 wallets, and then there's the company wallets, and there's airdrop farming, and there's all sorts of degen shit. And part of it was all right, I want to stop doing most of this and just have a more simple life moving forward. But so it's good and awful the transition back.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds stressful.
Just quickly, is the Web3 space a lot more prominent over in a place like Dubai? You mentioned the tax thing was obviously a major benefit, but how was the industry there compared to here?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been here long enough to really get a good feel for how it is here. You mentioned the event the other night, Thursday. It was an amazing event. 150 people turned up here in Brisbane, and awesome people. And Australia's got a really thriving crypto community.
Yep.
Dubai is on another level. Dubai rivals New York and LA, and it might even supersede all of them now. It's it's becoming the nexus and the hub of crypto and Web3.
Yep. Government
is very favorable. Regulation is very favorable. Tax is very favorable. And they become a network effect. When enough companies and people move there, it's more incentive for other companies and people to move there to network, do business, and stuff together. So it really is becoming the heart and soul of crypto.
Yep.
Now, I got a question. Since you're back, I feel like there's a lot of people probably wondering where you've been, and I'm sure you've been at a barbecue. And let's just say someone asks you, what is an NFT? I think it's almost how do you go about explaining very simply what is an NFT?
Yeah, I mean, It always depends on who you're talking to. Like if it's my 80-year-old dad, or if it's like a 20-year-old, someone in tech, it always depends a little bit. So I try and get a feel for who they are before I just start explaining, and it'll depend a bit differently. But at its fundamental level, it's a digital asset that is non-fungible. And so like the non-fungible part is usually what tricks people up. It's like, what's this word I've never heard of?
Yep.
And the easy analogy is like money is fungible. Anything that's unique is non-fungible. And the example I always go back to, because everyone can relate to this, is, do you have an email address? Yes. Is it yours? Yes. Do you own it? Yeah, it's mine. And you own that. It's yours. And it's purely digital. There's no physical piece of paper. There's no thing in your house that corresponds to your email address. It's a purely digital representation of an asset, a thing. And you extrapolate that out, and you can extrapolate it to anything and everything. Domain names, gaming assets, art, culture. The possibilities are endless. And once you start explaining that, people start to, I can kind of wrap my head around, what an NFT is. It's just a digital asset. And then you can go into explain like blockchains and how they work and the immutableness and get more complicated. But I usually just start off with the whole email address analogy, because most people can go, oh yeah, I have an email address. That's a digital asset that I consider mine. And then you can be like, well, you don't technically own it, or it's Google has them. All sorts of other layers. But like, I just start off there.
Yeah, I think that's really good, because Ted and I were thinking about this episode. We thought it'd be like a great primer. Like, obviously, we've seen a lot happen in the last 12 months. Meme coins going crazy. Something like Solana just absolutely taking a lot of people's breath away. We haven't really seen even the NFT become a narrative with what people are looking at. And there's like Google search trends are still way down. So I feel like this is almost like a good time to start talking about it, especially with a couple of months hopefully ahead.
A lot of people often conflate like NFT with like the gambling, the PFP projects, the speculation and the price, which is one small part of it. But I always like to think of NFTs as it's a technology. It's like the internet. It's like IP, like HTTP is like a protocol. It's like a TCP/IP. It's all these internet protocols. Anything can be built on top of it. So yes, you can have these gambling things like meme coins. You can have these seasons where people will speculate, but you can also build like real infrastructure and use cases like domain names, for instance. Currently, we rely on other entities, and you can find like a decentralized way to trade domain names or gaming assets. The possibilities are endless. And so while I do think we'll have an NFT season where prices go up and people speculate, just like meme coins, just like gaming, just like real world assets and AI and deep, there's always seasons and narratives in crypto. If we look at it from like a 5, 10, 20, 30 year horizon, NFTs will just become part of our lives, and people won't even think about it. Like, oh yeah, I own digital assets as well as physical assets. And I think that's the long tail of all of this.
That's like the golden crypto moment, right? When you realize you're not even using it.
And we're starting to get closer to that with like the base crypto assets, like buying and trading things on chain. You can use the email address, and Coinbase Smart Wallet is doing some amazing things.
Oh, such good
stuff like that.
Even the private key, right?
Yeah, you don't even need that.
Amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of our listeners, when they think of NFTs, will think back to, when, 2021 bull market, we saw the likes of CryptoPunks, and then followed
Bored Apes
and all that, just going crazy, people spending millions on these things, celebrities putting them as their display pictures and everything. So that's what a lot of people think of when it comes to NFTs, in my opinion. But I guess you being so, involved in this community and having a huge community yourself, like, where do you see that sort of space going, and how do you think the role of utility comes into how we value these digital assets?
Yeah, I mean, utility is one of the most important parts to all of it, because there is real utility you can add into NFTs, inject into them, that give people value for holding them. I guess the unfortunate part, but the reality is that, like you said, most people conflate NFTs with monkey pictures and millions of dollars in speculation, and that is probably the worst side of NFTs. And it's like people looking at crypto and being meme coins and thinking, oh, that's all crypto is pump.fun, and that's not crypto. Bitcoin is this incredible asset that is resistant to governments and censorship, all this kind of stuff. But then most people just think of like Doge and Pepe and Whiff and a dog with a hat, all that kind of stuff. Same with NFTs. People think of it as like Bored Apes and the millions of other scammy projects. But the reality is that there is potential for real utility, and there are projects that have real utility. One kind of cool example might be, and actually there's a project that has done this, is everyone hates Ticketmaster and everyone hates like having to go and try and be there as soon as the tickets release, and then you fight bots, and then you have to pay 10 times as much on secondary to scalpers to get your tickets. Bands could give their biggest fans, like someone who has attended 5 or more concerts, an NFT that then they go to Ticketmaster and be all right, you have an hour prior to public sale to buy at the regular price. And there was a band that actually did this, Avenged Sevenfold. I can't remember exactly what the NFT collection was, but it's working fantastically. Like 30-40% of their sales, last I checked, were going to genuine fans before it went to Ticketmaster, and it also helps reduce fees potentially and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Cool. And it's probably more relevant than ever now that Oasis is getting back together. I know some
that's all you're talking about.
I know, you're talking about that on Thursday as well.
Hey, look, I'm excited. It's been 15, 16 years or whatever.
Any opportunity. You want to bring up the Gallagher brothers.
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan. But look, my mates were stuck on Ticketmaster. They managed to get tickets, but I know there were heaps of other people that were just like, either the site went down or they're glitched out. And so, you're absolutely right. I think that could play a huge role.
Yeah, that's cool.
From a investment point of view, I know you seem to be more in it from like a building point of view, but at the end of the day, a lot of people will look to NFTs and crypto in general as from an investment point of view. Where do you see like the best, or what do you think the best way moving forward is to make money from NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in it from like a building perspective and for the long term as well. But like, I'm also a trader, a DJ, an investor, and like, of my entire crypto portfolio, NFT value probably makes up 60% of it still. In 2021, that was literally 99+%. Like, it got absolutely crazy at a certain point. And I've been trying to get that number down because I think that's way too high. Even 60%, I think, is too high. It's still, NFTs is still a risky asset class within crypto, which is already a risky asset class. But there are opportunities, I think, to make money now, and there will be in the future. Depends on who you are. You have different approaches, different thesis. If you can spend 16 hours a day grinding Discords and being active in the space, it's very different to someone who has like 5 hours a week to maybe devote to this. But either way, I think I'm coming around to the idea more and more, and this applies to crypto as a whole, investing as a whole, NFTs. The vast majority of value will accrue to a very small percentage of assets. See, with crypto, like Bitcoin, ETH, Sol take up so much of the market share. With NFTs, it's like CryptoPunks, and then I think they're a league above pretty much everything else. And then you have, Bored Apes, Pudgy Penguins as like the PFP projects. You have like Xcopy as art, Beeple as art. There's different areas. There's some gaming assets, Forgotten Runes, Parallel. So you kind of have to pick and choose the area that you're maybe most interested in. Like if you're not into art, collecting art NFTs is probably going to be tougher than, someone who is and understands that world. If you're into gaming though, there's tons of gaming areas you can like look in and try and find the best assets there. But my advice to anyone is, if you are going to invest in NFTs and if you are thinking of doing it just from a financial perspective, this is obviously not financial advice, come in with a plan, have a strategy, manage your risk, only do it with a small percentage of your bankroll, and then be wary of like over trading. Too many people like fall victim to death by 1,000 cuts. They like buy in and out of collection. I want to buy that one, but I don't have money, so I have to sell this one. I'm going to take a bid and then buy this one, and then just go back and forth, and it's the graph just trends down. They might hit big on a few, but because they just keep buying in and out of collections, they're not doing well. So I would say find the things you have the highest conviction in and only buy those, and have a good reason for buying and a good reason for selling and a plan for selling, and avoid the FOMO and the trap of, oh my God, this hot new mint just popped up overnight. I missed it because I was asleep. I'm going to get in now, even though it's 10x floor because I think it'll go up. Just take a step back and be patient, I think.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's solid. I'll admit, I was one of these skeptics. I'd been around since very similar stories to you. I bought it at the top of 2017 because everyone was like, oh, you should get it. I was like, all right, whatever. Bought it. Made some money, wrote it all the way back down, and ever since I was like, what the hell did I do so wrong? So I've been like putting the pieces together ever since. But sort of reflecting on where NFTs were then, NFTs in 2021, 2022, I was hearing stories about Axie Infinity at the time, and I was just like, this can't be real. Like people literally in the Philippines earning their day's wage, not having to drive tourists around. They were just on a mobile phone game, earning smooth love potion. And I was like, "This, what is this world?" So, like, a lot of me was like skeptical to NFTs, right? But then I think towards the end of the back end of 2022, I started to see more of the membership sort of guilds start to pop up, and you needed the NFT to enter sort of Discord servers. And then I was just started thinking, great, this makes very much logical sense to me. It's like everyone understands loyalty and sort of programs, and being behind a closed door. And I think we even bought 8 parties, right? So you had to have the NFT to even get tickets. So like a lot of that made more sense to me. So I'd say like my appreciation of NFTs has grown over time. But where do you see, I guess, the future say? Like, what are you most looking forward to in terms of tech-wise? What's to come, or even just like the way that people might not be thinking of doing things? Like, I know you brought up the Ticketmaster example, or Ticket Tech, sorry. But yeah, what do you think will be maybe some speculative NFT sort of tech shifts moving forward?
There's different areas and categories. Like, I think IP is a big world where we're just starting to see what's possible with intellectual property and NFTs and blockchains. You can imagine, like, the example people always give, which is crazy, but you think of, like, imagine if someone owned a piece of Mickey Mouse or a piece of Frozen or something like that, some asset from Frozen, and Disney had to pay you royalties. Now, that's obviously an extreme example. It's never going to happen. Disney will just go off and make their own thing. But if you're building brand new IP from the ground up, you can do it in a way where your biggest fans have an actual ownership stake in what you're building and can receive some financial benefits, maybe some utility, like access benefits. And we're seeing that with things like Pudgy Penguins, where they're selling these collectible toys that are cute. They're, in shops all around the world. They have millions and millions of views and subscribers on Instagram. People outside of crypto love them. They're at Comic-Con. They're becoming a household name brand. And if they sell a toy based on Holder's penguin, they get royalties. They're paying out their community based on the IP that they're also using and spreading and help proliferate around the world. I think that is going to continue and grow, and that's a pretty cool and interesting use case.
Yep.
And then gaming is probably the other big one that I think is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big gamer. I've spent thousands of dollars on Hearthstone cards over like the last 10 years, 15 years. I don't know when it came out. I haven't played the game in like 3 or 4 years. Those cards are just sitting there. Like, that's lost money. I can't sell them. I can't even give them to like my friend. I can't be like, hey, take my cards, and I'd have to give them my entire Blizzard account. So it's like this walled garden, terrible situation for gamers. And obviously the gaming companies don't want to get rid of that because they're making all the money. And if someone new player comes along, they have to spend all their money with them. But Web3 kind of breaks that cycle and has the potential to give more power and ownership back into the players and the gamers, and all sorts of cool possibilities are possible there.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. Like, yeah, well, I think we've been sort of speculating on that sort of angle too, because it just makes sense. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't understand crypto. But if you told them, again, exactly that example, you can now sell your Hearthstone cards, which a lot of people spend a lot of money on, or even rent them out. I'm sure you could even do that.
Or just give them to your younger brother or something. Like, just give them to a friend.
Yeah, you could wrap that up and send it to someone. It's cool.
Yeah.
Now that you've touched on gaming, I kind of want to dive into that a little bit more. We've been covering gaming a little bit here as like a crypto narrative, and trying to understand, like, is there value in the utility tokens of the games, or is there more value in the actual collectible digital assets within the game? So Illuvium's one that's recently launched. I was talking to one of the Illuvium devs actually at the event the other night. I wish I could remember what he was telling me, but I remember him saying he walked away because he wasn't. There were some issues there, but we'll have to get him on sometime. But yeah, so from a game perspective, is the value more in the digital collectibles and playing, or is it, can I just go and buy, a gaming token like the ILV token or whatever it may be, and walk away and sit on that for a little while?
I mean, I think the only real answer is it depends. I think it depends on the game and the ecosystem. I will say that I think gaming tokens, like fungible gaming tokens, are incredibly hard to make work. Like, it's really, really tough to make a sustainable ecosystem, because in order for there needs to be new capital entering the system.
And needs to not leave as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the only way that can work is, like, the Ponzi can only go up so long, people speculating that the game token is going to take off. The only way it works is if you make a fun, engaging game that people actually want to play, and then you get people buying in-game assets because they want to keep and hold them and use them. And you think about Fortnite, for instance. It's a free game. People love to buy their skins. They'll pay, like Minecraft, Roblox. These are games that people love. They're fun. People pay money, and they hold these assets. Web3 gaming will only work when we have games that are actually fun like that. And I think that people have been talking about gaming for 5+ years. And
it's been a while.
In 2021, I remember Facebook rebranded to Meta, and there's a whole narrative of the metaverse and Web3 gaming, and all these tokens took off. But it was way too early. Like, to make a good game, it takes 5-10 years. And so I think only now we're just starting to see some potentially good games that can crack that narrative. They have to be fun. They have to be fun once you take all the crypto away from it. Take any relationship to crypto or Web3 or token away. Take any Ponzinomics. Take any, like, if people are playing the game to make money, it's never going to work.
If you tell them read our white paper, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
It has to be a fun game. And then you can design an ecosystem with enough token sinks that the token can sustain and be appreciate in price only then. So it takes a while. And the collectible, the NFT element, again, it has to be a fun game and people want to hold the assets. Like, if there's a rare Fortnite skin or a Counter-Strike gun, they sell for thousands, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. You need that sort of ecosystem first, and then the value of these things will go up. Currently, there are a bunch of games that have high value NFTs because people are mostly speculating that the game will continue to gain in popularity. But there are some games that people like, the Forgotten Runes Wizards Cult, they're in the beta version right now. I've been playing the game the last week. It's actually fun. And like, there's people that I know that play the game. Like, I'm happy to pay $15 for that skin or that mount or that asset. And we're getting there. But I think speculating on the token is really tough to do at this point. And I generally caution against it, even though I own at least one gaming token.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, absolutely. Look, for anyone, because we see that NFT trading volumes are down a lot from the 2021 highs. Falling off a massive cliff. But often that presents like a good opportunity, right? When no one's really interested, or when interest is at an all-time low, that's often when people find the best time to buy, right? Look at crypto.
Best time to diversify.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm looking to get into NFTs, do you think now is a good time, and how should I go about educating myself? How do I find NFT projects that potentially are going to do well over the long term? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I'd say now is an okay time. I would say 6 weeks ago was a good time.
Okay.
Like, over the last 3-4 weeks, there's been this sort of narrative around crypto Twitter and even floor prices where like the people are NFTs back. There's been a bounce. A bunch of projects have gone up in price. CryptoPunks went up a bunch, and that leads the rest of the market. And like you said, you want to be buying when no one's paying attention. And that was 6 weeks ago. Now people are talking about it. So it's like, it might still be a good time if this rally continues. But I generally advise waiting till it's written off. People are like, NFTs are dead. They're never coming back. When that's the prevailing theory, then is a good time to buy things that you have a high conviction will come back. And again, CryptoPunks are a prime example of that. In terms of how to find what to buy, where to go, it just takes time and research. You have to look at like the top. My general advice here is look at the collections that have been around for years and years and years. If they've been able to maintain and sustain some sort of a floor price, especially a significant one, for years, that's a pretty good sign. And now you're probably not going to get 100x on it, and you're probably not going to be buying the cheapest things. Like if something is 0.01 or even 0.1 floor price ETH, it's like with meme coins and everything. The cheaper it is, the more risky it is. The newer it is, the more risky it is. It's been around for 5 years, 7 years, like CryptoPunks. It's probably established itself in the culture and in the zeitgeist, and it's going to make it. Another example is like CryptoKitties. They've been around for just as long as CryptoPunks. The supply is so large, and they haven't quite got that cultural relevance and supply-demand mechanic to necessarily sustain an appreciation in price. So it just takes time, research, looking at the top collections and doing a bit of... I always say you have to come up with your own thesis. Like if you follow me, if you follow someone on Twitter, if you just follow a friend who gives you a tip, you'll never feel confident in your position. And as soon as you hear some FUD or anything on the time, you're like, oh, I need to sell because you don't have that conviction. You need to find your own conviction, and the only way to do that is research and time.
Yep, absolutely. Well, look, before we wrap things up today, I just wanted to know, like, what are the next 12 months looking like for Zeneca and, the Zen Academy? Obviously, have a large community there. Like, do you have any big or grand plans that you can let us know, or just, chipping away at sort of...
So Zen Academy is basically just chipping away. It's a wonderful, amazing community of excellent people, and we have a couple of calls every week. We hang out, we discuss the market, we discuss different things together, and that's, I think, largely what's going to remain for the next year. There's nothing big planned on the Zen Academy front. I think we've largely run our course as an NFT project. We're not making any money anymore. It's just the community now is just being continued, which I'm very happy about. On a personal front, I am writing a book, and I'm very excited about that. So hopefully within 12 months it's out.
Is it about taxes?
Oh God, there is actually a section on tax. I don't know if it's going to stay in the book or be cut.
At least it's an outlet.
You laugh, but I literally like a month ago had the idea of like, maybe I should start a business to help people understand their crypto taxes. Like, I'm not an accountant. I'm not like I can tell you how to find the right people and, who you need to be talking to and how you should be thinking about it. But then I didn't want to be dealing with tax for any longer than I absolutely have to. So no, the book is working tight as like a crypto survival guide, because I firmly believe that to make it in crypto, you just have to survive. Like so many people leverage trade, they burn out, they take too many risks. they get burned out from working too hard and they leave the space, and then they look back 5 years later and like, oh, I never should have left.
Yep.
And so it's just like things I've learned in the space, some advice and some practical tips like a trading journal and things that I keep that I think would be helpful to others. So that's what I'm working on.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Can you release it? You can come on and promote it.
That would be great. I'll book tour.
Awesome. Well, Pav, do you want to wrap things up?
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for joining us, Zen. Very insightful. I'm very excited to see where the whole NFT direction is going. I think it's always, if it's done well, I think it surprised people. Even the ones that are, it's like Bitcoin back in the day. Everyone hated it. Everyone wanted to keep it down. You can't stop a community coming up and doing what it does best. So I'm looking forward to the next 12 months and seeing where it goes. But thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.